ask for what you want and you can direct your partner and you can speak up and be in pleasure and be witnessed in that, that translates everywhere else.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Goddessing.
Episode 77.
Woo! 77!
An angel number!
777. Luck is on its way.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. Oh my gosh, we are high on life because we just finished the most incredible interview with Bryn Daylor, who is a sex and love coach. You guys are going to go nuts over this episode.
You're going to go bananas.
Bananas. And we all have some really fun homework that you'll hear about in the conversation that Juliet and I are going to do right after this.
Mm-hmm. And for our babes in our Patreon, we can compare notes.
Yes.
We can chat all about it.
Maybe next episode we'll share a little bit.
Okay.
Not too much. You know, we're mildly wild, but I'll share everything.
That was sweet of you to say we.
We are mildly wild.
Not. I am.
I still might not share it all. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Anyways.
I know, I'm so giddy. That was such a yummy conversation. I've been a fan of Bryns at a distance. You'll see in the interview that I'm just kind of like starry-eyed and
yeah.
I'm like, so can you talk about this?
It's a really fun conversation. Bryn has just so much, just the way that she speaks is so clear and confident, but like it makes it simple and feel very doable, I guess, because like I feel like when you're entering the world of sex and love, it can feel intimidating.
It can feel really intimidating, and it can feel like it's only for a certain type of person. Like, this is only for people who have just begun dating. This is only for people who have really wild desires, or this is only for people who've been in a marriage for 12 years. Like, but Bryn is really able to speak to and meet everybody where they're at. And I think that's why she is so powerful and so well loved and respected, like in her community. And we know you're going to love this episode. You're going to be very turned on and very excited. And we're very thrilled to bring this one to you.
So whether you're out there dating, whether you're in a new relationship, or you've been with someone for a long, beautiful time, you're going to want to take notes, Goddess. So without further ado, here's our incredible interview with Bryn Daylor. Hello, Goddesses. We are so excited to have Bryn Daylor here. She is a sex and love coach, and we have a lot of juicy questions. But I think first, Bryn, first of all, thank you for being here. And I'm really excited to hear your story. I know a little bit from creeping on Instagram, but me and all of our listeners are so excited to hear how you got here. How did you become a sex and love coach?
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad that this worked out. And gosh, how did I become a sex and love coach? Well, I've never started the story off this way, but I used to be a third grade teacher. So just going to paint the arc of my career. I came into this world as a sexual being, which I believe we all do. We come into this world literally via sex. That's how we're created. And then we exit this beautiful portal through the yoni into the world. And so I was a child where sex was a really open and honest conversation from my parents. And so I actually remember getting in trouble for telling everyone in kindergarten where babies came from.
That kid.
Yeah, that was me. I got put in the corner for talking too much and then for telling everyone that it's not a stork. Your dad puts his penis in your mom's vagina and then baby's made. So
the first instance of sex coaching in kindergarten.
Yeah. So cute. I love that visual. So that should have been my first sign.
Yes.
And then fast forward, I'm such a big believer in that we so teach what we ourselves need to learn. And fast forward into my later years, I fell in love with a man who was my then husband. We were in a 10-year relationship. And I was sold the story that you get married, you have babies, the white picket fence, and you live happily ever after. But I was 25 and so fucking bored and could not understand that this was my life for the rest of eternity. I'm like, this is what I was told. The princess finds the prince, they get married and everything's great. And I didn't buy it. I was so internally dissatisfied. And part of that dissatisfaction was being so disconnected from my sexuality. And so I was on a path. I had gone to school to be a teacher. So in my core, I loved to teach. I love to teach in every scenario. Like I'll be at the grocery store and there will be an opportunity for me to flex on some knowledge, and I'm somehow teaching somebody about vibrators on aisle 5. And it's like, oh, I just can't help it. It's so who I am. But I was just in the wrong seat of the bus, so you will. So I basically got to a place where I started bumping up against all of these edges in my life where sex was boring. I felt totally disconnected from my pleasure. I had a hard time orgasming. And I swore that if I had sex one more time the same way, where it was like the same floor play leads to the same penetration, leads to the same maybe or maybe not orgasm, was like, I'm going to jump off a bridge. This is not satisfying to me. And then I started to question everything, my attraction to my partner. Is this normal? Like, am I supposed to be this way for the rest of my life? And there was a deeper knowing that there was more. I didn't see it in a magazine. I didn't read about it in a book. It was just, I feel like my body is capable of a lot more. And I always talk about, with women, following your heart is the most brave thing you can do. And that's what I did. I started to follow my heart, and my heart led me down some really scary paths. One of those paths was leaving my partnership. And that's not the path everyone needs to take to find their pleasure. But for me, it was. I was very codependent at the time, and I had to make a full break from that previous version of myself to go, who am I without you? And what do I actually know to be true? And from the moment I left that marriage, I started to just take personal responsibility. Like I wore responsibility like it was this golden cloak that I was so excited to put on. And I wanted to make my own money and find all of these beautiful facets of pleasure and build community and find my career. And I didn't know that when I embarked. I just decided that I wanted to know who I was without my husband. And I remember, I'll never forget it because it was one of the most clear moments of intuition and like a full-bodied fuck yes. I was on Facebook scrolling and I see this offer for sex coaching. And I'm like, well, fuck, I didn't even know that was a thing. But something is telling me to get on the phone with this woman. And I did. And I ended up enrolling in her sex coaching course, which was 2 parts. The first half was sexual exploration for myself. And the second half was how to do this for a living. At the time, I had literally no inkling prior to that moment that that was what I wanted to do. But I literally emptied out my retirement fund and said yes. Wow. And I started this beautiful, which would be now 3 years ago, journey to desire. Like, well, what do I like? What turns me on? I did every workshop, read every book. I went to a class called Hair Pulling, Choking, and Spanking 101.
I love that.
I hired dominatrixes. I went to Tantra workshops. I bought every sex toy on the market. I just fully dove in. And it was so clear within, God, probably 3 weeks that this was my dharma. Like, this is what I am here on this planet to do. And had I not said yes to my desire to just learn, I would have never known that. So that's why I think desire work is so powerful, not just sexually, but women to understand and tap into who they are and what they are available for, what they love, and then listening to the body and following that wisdom, because we're really well trained in following the language of the mind. So words, we know how to analyze and logic, but what we're not usually trained to do from the moment we enter this planet is listen to the wisdom of the body, which is sensation. And once we get really good at listening to our sensations, they're the map to everything. They're the map to your yes. They're the map to your no. They're the map to your I'm not sure yet. And I love teaching women now how to listen to their body in every facet, from in the bedroom to out, so that they can build lives that are really beautiful. And that's what I did for myself. And now I'm here, sex coaching for a living, and it is the best thing in this whole world.
Wow. Something that gave me chills when you said it was like, I was so fucking bored. I can relate to that so much in my past, and that being a trigger for, you know, where I've gotten to now. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And that's just not where we're meant to be in life. We're not meant to be bored. And it can feel intimidating to figure out how to not be bored when we don't trust our desires. But thank you for sharing your journey. That's so inspiring. And I love what you're saying about connecting back into the body to find your desire, because like our minds are like this computer that really only know our past. And so it's computing with that information, what's possible for the future. But like our bodies are, they're from the earth. Like they know that anything is possible. And I'm just so excited to dig more into this conversation around desire in the body.
Yeah. And I'd love to even double click on boredom for a moment. So where I meet most women is there's this spectrum. And on one end of the spectrum, we have safety. So we feel really safe and secure. And that's a basic human need, to feel safe in your body, to feel safe in relation to another. And that's where sometimes it's only possible through building safety with another over a long-term committed container partnership. So we have safety. And then on the other end of the spectrum is desire. And that's where that passion, that lust, that intensity, the polarity comes from. And what can happen is when women find me, they're like, I'm all safety right now. I feel so secure in my relationship. I know my partner's not going anywhere. My needs are met, but fuck, am I lacking desire? Or we're on the total other end of the spectrum where we're in the new beginnings of a romance, and it's lustful and delicious and we want to just jump each other's bones, but there's no safety yet. And so where I'm really helping women to meet themselves is in the delicious combination of both of those, and really learning and embodying that you can have both. And it will take work from you. Relationships do take work, and they take being willing to try, being willing to fuck up, being willing to be vulnerable and messy. And in that beautiful combination of like pouring your heart and soul out and asking for what you want, you can have the marriage of desire and safety. But it's going to take effort, and it's going to take being willing to bump up against some edges to get there.
Anytime I've ever listened to you speak, and when I first discovered you, I like found every podcast you appeared on and listened and listened and listened. And then I kept like replying to your DMs, or not your DMs, your stories. And I was like, I must know this woman. There's this kind of like, now looking at it, it's like, oh, duh. But nobody thinks to move through something, to figure out who you are, to go to sex and sexuality. It's almost like the last thing anybody thinks of. It's like, oh, there's therapy and journaling and all these things, which are wonderful. But you really opened my eyes to this whole other modality that's sort of like the most obvious one now that it's in front of me to really like figure out. And are you discovering that with your clients and in yourself? Like, oh, whoa, I did not realize I could learn so much about myself, through this.
So true. So I studied under the lineage of John Wineland. He's one of my all-time favorite teachers for embodiment and feminine archetypes, and highly recommend his work for those that are looking for more of that. And he has this quote, and I've used it so many times as one of my favorites, but essentially, sex shows you where you collapse outside of the bedroom. So if you look at sex as this magnifying lens, take your last sexual experience and double click on it and look at where were the parts of yourself that started to crack or crumble. I'll use my own self for an example. One of my last sexual experiences was I felt super stuck in my head, so unable to access pleasure in the moment. Even though I felt so safe and so open with this man, I kept saying internally, I'm stuck, I'm having a hard time. And that's not siloed to sex. So if you look at your patterns of where you collapse sexually, that shit is magnified everywhere else in your life. And so sex can be such a powerful teacher because it's going to show you in this chamber, right, of intensity and emotion and pleasure, what are the parts of yourself that you haven't fully met yet? And where are you scared? Where are you unable to be fully vulnerable? And so I find it to be one of the most powerful and potent teachers, because sex moves energy so quickly. So whereas that pattern may be sneakier in your day-to-day life, it's magnified when you're naked in front of someone else. And so I always love to look at the patterns that show you in sex where you're collapsing, and let's fix them sexually. And I promise you that starts to translate everywhere else in your life, versus when it's the other way around. If I'm trying to, help myself be more emotional and open and vulnerable outside of the bedroom, what I found is it doesn't always translate sexually, because it's such a different individual energy. But because it's so vulnerable, that when you tackle it sexually, I found that it does trickle into other parts of your life. So it's like the energy can go one way, but not necessarily the other. That's my experience. I'm always so open for other people to name theirs differently. But I found that sex is literally one of the most profound and deep teachers. And it's fun. It's fun to learn via sex. So yeah, there's motivation to learn that way.
I think that makes sense, because sex is part of our human nature. That's one of the most animalistic, instinctual, our rawest parts of ourself. It's something we do to create, which is the biggest miracle I think there is in this world. But also so often we do it simply for the sake of pleasure and connection. So that makes sense to me to if we start there at our, I don't know, it just seems like the base of our humanness, this desire, and then it would trickle out to the other parts of us.
And when women can really start using their voice, right? So there was this diagram that I found. Oh, Kitty's like, yes.
She's about it.
When women find their voices, I remember there was this diagram that was going around, at least in my sphere for a bit, where it compared the vocal cords to the vaginal canal and how similar those structures looked. And that's why when you look at women in childbirth, they literally make these guttural noises that help to open up their canal so that the baby can come out easier. So there is a direct link between using your voice, finding your power, and how that translates sexually, and vice versa. And so if you can ask for what you want, and you can direct your partner, and you can speak up and be in pleasure and be witnessed in that, that translates everywhere else, I promise you. So it's so empowering when women come to me. They're meeting me at sexuality, and we're tackling things like desire work and finding more things that can be pleasurable for them and understanding what turns them on. But then when they leave, they're like, my life feels better. I feel more expressed. And that's because when you hide yourself sexually, that is a core part of your being. Just like you said, we are sexual beings. So if you remove that part of you, you're not fully expressed. And that means that if you're in relation to another, whether that's in partnership, your friendships, your work even, if you're hiding a part of yourselves, those people can't possibly love all of you. There's a literal block to intimacy because you're not showing up as your fullest self. And there's nothing more freeing in this world than being loved fully as you are, truly, fully as you are, including all of your quirks, all of your kinks, all of the different parts and nuances of you. And it's so freeing to be able to say, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I like, take it or leave it, but this is me. Because then you magnetize what is meant for you in this world and you repel what is not. So I'm such a proponent of women that can fully speak their truth and their desire sexually, and not because it just is going to put them on this path to the most beautiful, aligned life that they've ever had. And I know that from experience, because the second I started doing this work, it's been a fucking rocket ship to alignment and purpose and fulfillment. And I know that that's a direct correlation.
I want to hear more about, well, first of all, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy for all of us who get to be in your work and be in your energy, because it's making an impact in me, and I'm sure everybody who will listen. I would love to learn about the feminine archetypes.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I'm familiar with like the maiden, mother, crone, but I've on your page seen you talk about like the sorceress and things like. I want to hear all about all of it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Archetype work is my fucking jam. And for those of your listeners who've maybe never heard that word, archetype is simply a character. So when you think of an archetype, you think of what does that one person encompass as a character and what do they represent? So if we were to use queen for an example, when you think of the archetype of queen, there's certain characteristics that are going to come to mind. Confident, sovereign, knows herself, a leader, right? Like clear on her vision. And why I love archetype work so much for women is because it gives you permission to step into a part of yourself that exists within you, but you don't have access to fully yet. And there's this component of play. And when you think of children learn through play. That's why Montessori schools are so powerful, and getting to learn when your brain is the most malleable. It's really through the act of play, and archetype work allows women to be playful in stepping into a more expressed and expanded part of themselves. Because if I said to you, like, I want you to leave your marriage, go find a new career, move across the country, you'd be like, well, fuck, that feels like a lot. I don't know if my nervous system can handle that. And mine didn't very well for a minute. I had a lot of time spending calibrating. But if I said to you though, okay, I'm going to put on a song and you're going to move your body to the energy of a queen. And let's pick a queen that you can model yourself after that is easy for you to, for example, step into her. Maybe you don't have access to her in this moment, but you could pretend. So let's think of Khaleesi. How would Khaleesi from Game of Thrones move her body? And how would she walk through the room and look down on the people beneath her and ride her dragons, right? There's this energy of like, I'm playing right now. But the thing is your body doesn't know the difference. Your body goes, huh, this is interesting. Okay, my shoulders are back. I feel bigger in this moment. I have more capacity. And then what happens is you start to embody her, the queen, and you know how to turn her on and turn her off. And so when you can actually run the energy of queen through your body, through practice and through play in your own living room, what happens is when you go to make the decision of leaving your marriage, you know the energy that you need to step into in order to be the woman who can leave her marriage. You're like, oh, I get it. I've been a queen in my living room for the past 3 months. I know what this moment requires, and I'm actually going to step into her in my body. Because it's one thing to understand this logically. I'm a learner. I love podcasts and books, and I'll consume. But that's also a shadow of mine is, at what point is this energy and learning not actually embodied in my nervous system? And so that's why I love learning, but I also love embodying, and where those two worlds collide. And so the archetypes can look like there's traditional Jungian archetypes. That's where they first came from. And as archetypes have gotten more popular, other versions have come through. So the queen is one that I've named several times now, and she's one of my favorites. But there's also sexual flavors too that I just love to teach. The sorceress is one that you named. And the sorceress is a woman who can create something from nothing. A sorceress is a creator, a creatrix. And when I think of a sorceress, I think of scientists, writers, poets, artists, witches, scientists and mathematicians, people that can create with their hands, create with their minds. They're manifestors, so they can bring what they want into reality. And because they are in the energy of creation, they can tap into this really sensual side of like bringing in and using all of the different elements to help them to create. And so even like when I talk with women and I teach them of the sorceress, I'm like, you're a sorceress when you're cooking dinner and you're throwing a little paprika and a little bit of salt and some oregano. And it's like, that's when you're stepping into your creatrix energy. And it's through those archetypes that women start to meet themselves in different sexual and sensual capacities. So when you're the sorceress and you're cooking over your cauldron, aka your, Instant Pot in your kitchen, maybe you smell the delicious aroma of like the tomato sauce that's simmering, and all of a sudden that gives you access to pleasure, and you moan because it smells so good, right? Like that's sensuality. And then the archetype of the seductress is another one that I love to teach, where this one is for women who are looking to be turned on and turn themselves on and be turned on by life. So the seductress is a woman who is just magnetic in her fullest pleasure and is sitting at a coffee shop, drinking her latte, licking the foam off of her lips, giggling, gets a free cookie because she's just so like pleasureful, right? Like doesn't even have to try. She's just in the energy of pleasure. And because she's in pleasure, she is seducing life. It usually doesn't even have anything to do with seducing a partner. It's just like you're turned on by life, and all of these things then come to you because of it. I always like to go on what I call like seductress walks, where like I'll put on a sundress and it'll be sunny in Austin, and I'll just walk the street that's by my apartment, and I'm smiling and I'm like pleasure filled and I'm joyful listening to music. And it's never, it never ceases to amaze me like what will happen on those walks, right? Like, yeah, you'll get the car honks, but also I'll get like a stranger that comes up to me and smiles and says like, wow, you're so beautiful. I hope you have a great day. Or I'll find like a $5 bill on the ground, or I'll see like a sign from an angel, an angel number that is just like so affirming to the path that I'm on. And it's just these little moments of, again, when you're in a state of pleasure and you're practicing, because it is a practice, that you can then have these really magical things happen in that archetype work. And then the other one that I like to name that's different than mother, crone, maiden is the sacred slut. And I love teaching the sacred slut because slut has such a charge to it, because I know so many women, including myself, that have been bullied, right? Bullied for being sexual, made fun of, ostracized, kicked out of friend groups, lost friendships, teased, ridiculed, you name it. And, in college, I had somebody write slut on the back of my car with mustard. And it's like, for having an experience with a man who was out of a relationship, but his ex-girlfriend didn't like that we had slept together, even though we had no ties or connection. And so reclaiming the word slut, just like Mama Gina helps to reclaim the word pussy, there's so much power in that word. And to me, the sacred slut is a woman who leads with her sexuality and is intentional with her sexual energy. There's a sacredness to it because she knows it is the most powerful force on this planet. It creates humans. And so to lead with that energy and to be in full ownership of it, of like, yeah, I like sex. I like to fuck. I love orgasms. And maybe that's with a partner. Maybe it's by myself. But as long as I'm intentional about it and I am bringing the energy for the use of my own pleasure, then there's something so beautiful about a woman that knows that. And I remember I was actually in a group with John Wineland, and I was learning from him. And he was teaching the sacred slut archetype. And we were going through this archetype work, and I was dancing and moving. And he'd given us many flavors that day, like from mother and maiden and, fairy, and like all of these different archetypes to play. And I noticed for whatever reason that day, I brought sex to every single one of them. I was like grabbing my breasts and running my fingers through my hair and like licking my lips and dancing in the mirror and just turning myself on no matter what flavor he gave. And I noticed I had a lot of shame all of a sudden of like, that's interesting. So I named it to him, and I got lucky, and he called on me and he said, well, when you run sex through your body, do you enjoy it? Does it feel good for you? I was like, fuck yeah, it does. That's why I was doing it. And he goes, good, then keep doing it. Like if it's for you and it feels good, keep doing it. And so from that moment on, I'm like, you know what? There's sacred slut in so many parts of my day. And the beauty of that is when you learn the archetypes, you can move in and out of them fluidly. I can be 30 women in one day. So you bet your ass I am so fully expressed when I am doing that, because I can move from like sweet innocent maiden to queen to sacred slut to the sorceress, and that can be in like a 10-minute window. You know, there was a meme I saw one time on Instagram, and it was joking, and it said like, he wants to see other women, and then it showed like all of the different flavors that she can be in a day. And it's like, well, yeah, you're never going to get bored again if you can show up in all of the flavors of the feminine. And what I also love about archetype work is every person's interpretation is different. So my sacred slut may look totally different than the two of yours, and vice versa. And there is such peace and acceptance and resonance with finding your flavor. And when you can do that and you can be in your fullest expression, again, it all comes back to not having to withhold any parts of yourself and being able to fully express what you want in the moment. And archetypes are literally my favorite way to give access to that.
I can't wait to like take the walk like you're talking about, and like just be conscious and mindful of it. I think because we are so many different versions of ourselves throughout a day, but to be able to like really name them and lean into it more, like that's very powerful.
So true. And I always give that as an assignment is pick the one that feels like an edge. Pick the one that when I name her, you're like, whoa, there's something inside of you that constricts. That's a great understanding of that's the one that you probably have the most growth in, the most opportunity. For me recently, it was mother. Like when I said mother, I like lost all the color in my face. I started to get nauseous because I'm reaching the time in my life where motherhood is starting to become more appealing and more available to me. And my growth was owning what the mother role looks like for me now and how I can fully step into it, because we must be the thing fully before we have it. That's how I like to operate, is that it doesn't work the other way around, that you just have it and then you step into it. How can you step into the energy of what you want now and then let life bring and you magnetize that thing to you? So my latest work has been, how can I be more mothering in my day-to-day? And it's brought all sorts of shit up to the surface. And that's the beauty of archetype work, is it has a beautiful way of showing you where you collapse, where you still have room to expand. And for me, mother's definitely been one of them.
I love that. Something that we say often in our community is like romanticizing life. So like if it's doing the dishes, like lighting some candles and turning down the lights or whatever that is. So I feel like these archetypes are going to add a new level to that, like romanticizing life and playing with the energy around you, because there's definitely, like, I didn't on purpose lean into archetypes, but I can bring up memories in my mind of days I'm just feeling myself. And I may not be wearing makeup or wearing a cute outfit, but I'm getting more attention than the days where I'm just feeling sort of neutral or maybe a little bit down. And there's like no difference outwardly, but energetically, it's really, really powerful.
So true. I was just on a group call with a bunch of men, and we were talking about the energy of confidence and how I always share with the women I work with that it really doesn't have to do with what you're wearing. Sometimes doing that helps you to step into the energy, and it's a catalyst for that. But you can be with no makeup, a big t-shirt, but you're just radiating pleasure and self-love. And every single man on that call agreed that that was the most attractive trait in a woman, is when she just owns her energy, owns her confidence, that every single time that's going to be a woman that turns heads. And I'm using men and women, but this goes for anyone. This is really just about owning who you are, and however you identify, what is the energy that you're resonating with in that moment, and how authentic and true to yourself can you be? Because that is the most magnetizing, truly.
You mentioned a few times when you went through the archetypes about your nervous system and regulating the nervous system. And can we do like a deep dive into that, please?
Ooh, yeah. So I believe transformation occurs through the body. I really do. I've been in this space now for enough years and time to study patterns, and where shifts really take place is in the body. And that's why I've done so much studying around somatics, soma meaning body. So the study of in the body, being in the body, and what that translates and looks like for people is, I mentioned this at the front end of the call, is it's understanding sensation and what those sensations mean to you. And so trying to think of an example, but basically one of the most powerful ways that you can start to really support yourself in your nervous system is by creating safety. So let's just start there. Safety is at the foundation of everything that you want to build sexually, intimately, emotionally, conversationally, you name it. If there's a lack of safety, good luck, right? Like you're not going to be present and grounded. And that's really what trauma does. It robs you of the present moment. When you're in a state of fight or flight, you cannot possibly be thinking about what's happening inside of you and in your body, because you're too busy thinking about something that happened or something that is going to happen to you. And so learning how to regulate your nervous system by creating safety is by far my favorite tool when it comes to somatics, because everything is built off of that. And so what that looks like is learning how to really land and be in your body. So that starts with closing your eyes, taking some deep grounding breaths, and starting to go deeper and deeper inside of yourself. I like practitioners to help guide you through that experience, because it's probably going to be challenging at first when you're doing it on your own. But what I like to do is I like to give mantras too for my clients, of giving them mantras like, I'm safe. I'm safe to be here. I'm safe to be in my body. So as they continue to breathe and go deeper within themselves, they're actually affirming that safety. And then I also like to help them take positional safety. So what happens is we do these things that are really subtle, like cross our arms or start fidgeting with our hands when we're nervous. And what I like to teach them is, how can you actually open your body and show it that it's safe? And that's actually how you're sitting right now. It's your chest is open, your palms are up, you're rooted into your chair. You're able to breathe down into your belly. That's showing your nervous system that you're safe. And then what we do is, once we tell our system that it's safe and we breathe into the body, then we start to tap into the sensations. So what's actually happening inside of you? What temperatures are present? What colors are present? What shapes? What textures? And then I start teaching my clients about what each of those things mean. And when I say teaching, I'm asking you. So like, okay, maybe there's tightness in your chest after we drop you in and have you feel safe. We start getting curious and just practicing acceptance for that sensation. And that tightness in your chest and throat mean you have something that you haven't expressed and you're withholding. So I alluded to earlier, sensations are the language of the body. Language meaning it has something to share with you. And if you get quiet enough and safe and still enough in your system, it will reveal to you what it needs. So I teach my clients how to have conversations with their body and sit in that stillness until the thing comes up that needs to be expressed. It may be a need that they have, like they've been withholding a need for love and affection from their partner. It may be that, they're feeling some shame about something and they haven't expressed it yet. There's so many nuances to that. But once you really understand your body and the different sensations and what they mean for you, then you start to become this master of your own body, and you can really understand yourself at such a deep level. And that's where, don't get me wrong, I love the work that I do, and I love being with women that pay me to support them. But what I really love more than that is when they no longer need me, because they're so masterful at understanding their own bodies that they feel totally competent and capable of being with anything that comes their way. And so to me, working with the nervous system means you just increase your capacity to be with anything. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel. In fact, after our work together, you're going to feel a lot more, which may feel a little bit intense at first, but your capacity, if you think of it like a balloon, is just going to stretch and stretch and stretch. So no matter if your partner breaks up with you, you get fired from work, or you have the most intense orgasm of your life, you can hold all of it and you know how to be with all of it. And that's how working with the nervous system translates to you having the life you really want. You just become resilient as fuck, and you can hold so much for yourself. You can hold it for your partner. You can hold it for your children. You just become unfuckwithable. And I'm so here for that.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how your work plays into, maybe this will be like from personal experiences, but like what for our audience members who may be like looking for or like starting a new relationship, and then our audience members who are maybe have been in a long-term relationship and they can sort of relate to the like, it's like the same old thing, and how do I start to like shake things up? Like, I'm curious about those spectrums, and if you have some advice for our babes on either parts of those.
Ooh, okay. So I understand about the part of like adding variety for a long-term relationship, but can you share a little bit more about what you meant like, for the new?
For those of our audience who are like dating, starting new relationships, how to like show up confidently and like more themselves, because it can be kind of spooky, scary to like, you're like kind of treading water. You're like, I don't want to like, you know, we're showing our best parts of ourselves usually, not really the shadow parts, and sort of navigating that space where it's like, it's okay to like be in the honeymoon phase, I think, but then also really like speaking up and standing up for like how they want that relationship to blossom and grow.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we'll start with the new relationship and then we'll transition. But so when it comes to showing up fully as yourself in a new relationship, well, number one, you need to know who the fuck you are, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to show up as yourself, you must know who that is. And part of that can be around knowing your values. So I always encourage, and I have this list for myself, for women to have a list somewhere of like 5 to 10 values that are their North Stars. Like, these are the things that you must have in order to feel fulfilled and on track with your life. Doesn't mean that your partner's going to meet every one of those values. In fact, that's usually not possible. But you still need to know what you value and how to get those values met in your life and met in partnership. And so just having words like kindness and adventure and freedom, like those are a couple of my values. But I don't just have the words, I have a paragraph under each of what those values actually look and feel like to me. And I just started dating someone new, and I proposed to him, like, can we have a values dinner where each of us bring our values to the table and we talk about each value and how we can, how I like to feel that in my relationship and how it looks in partnership. He's like, sure. He was thrilled. And so being of the understanding, this is another one of my phrases. I use it with my girlfriends all the time. I call it team can't fuck it up. And what I mean by that is you cannot fuck up what is meant to be yours. I really believe that. And so how can you bring all parts of yourself if you were to understand that love cannot be lost, because you are the creator of love and you can really bring that energy forward any and at all times. And sure, you may lose partners, but the love is sourced from within. And what they're doing is they're just helping you to access a feeling that is inside of you, that's yours. So if love can't be lost and you know who you are, then act as if, even if that person left, that you've still got you and that love is still so available to you. Easier said than done, right? But knowing your values and operating from like this place of team can't fuck it up is one of my favorite ways to move forward. And whether or not this is helpful, this helped me. Whenever I go into partnership or I'm dating, I treat that person as if they're the one. I treat them, and I go in fully of like, what if you were my person? How would I show up? And what that does is, one, it does help to create safety in my nervous system of like, they're not going to go anywhere. This is my person. because I know damn well that if they did leave, I have the tools and the capacity to pick up the pieces because I've done that and I can do it again. But it also helps me to show up fully as if like, oh my God, they're here. The one that I've waited for is finally here. And now I get to give all of myself to this person. And so I like to do that. And some people may say like, oh, only meet them in the energy of what they're giving you. I don't play that way. I play go in with an open heart, love as fully and bigly as possible, because I will never, ever, ever regret that version of myself. I just won't. Mm-hmm. To me, love is the greatest thing in the entire world. And anytime I'm in that energy and I'm giving that to another, I'll never regret that. So that's my stance on how to show up fully. And then also getting clear on like, what are your non-negotiables and what are the things that are really important to you? So if you want sexual development to be important, talk about sex early. Doesn't mean that you have to fuck right away, but start talking about sex and the type of sex that you like and what your desires are, so that you can at least make sure this person is on the same page with you. I like to lead with sex. I like to talk about sexual development as a pillar of what is important to me. And that means I'm sharing things like my erotic blueprint from the get-go. If you're not familiar, erotic blueprint is a style of turn on. It's gotten a lot more traction in the past few months because it was created by someone named Jaya, and Jaya was on Netflix with Gwyneth Paltrow talking about it. And so just like as a little side note for your listeners, go to the erotic blueprint quiz, take yours, it's free. And it is my favorite tool to use in dating. One, because you look like a badass because you're presenting this information that your partner probably has no clue what you're talking about. And two, it shows that you're taking ownership of what you like. And so that's like a whole other podcast that I can do in and of itself. But I highly recommend knowing your blueprint and knowing anyone that you're going to be sleeping with, their blueprint too. It's like the love languages, but for your turn on. So it's super, super
I'm excited to do this quiz.
It's so good. I highly recommend it. And then from the capacity of like adding more variety in a long-term relationship. So number one, I would say is name it. Like, be so comfortable and safe within the relationship, and name if it's scary too. Just like be vulnerable in that conversation, but doing it from a place of I love you and I love us. And I'm so committed to this relationship that this is what's coming up for me. And I'd love to, with your consent, start having more variety in our sex life. Well, how does that feel for you, right? Letting it be this open, chargeless conversation where we're not attacking, we're not projecting. You're just owning your desires, and you're doing it from a place of serving the we, right? So there's the I in the relationship, there's the you, and then there's the coupledom. And anytime you're doing something in service of the coupledom, that gets to come across of like a place of devotion. Like, I love us together, so let's make this the best thing possible. And that way, no one's going on the defensive. No one's like, oh, you don't like her sex life. It's like, no, let's just make it, it's great. Let's make it even better. And then from there, I'm a huge fan of hiring or paying for a course or going to something where you're both students together. Don't get me wrong, you can totally learn and do these things on your own, but it does put one person in charge of teaching and then one person in charge of learning, versus if you buy a course or you go to a workshop together or you hire a sex coach, you're both in that vulnerable learning state together. And it takes the pressure off of each one of you to have to be in the doing role. And then you get to just be in this nuanced experience together. And there's something so beautiful and juicy about trying something new together. And that can be as simple as, for example, like if we want to add more variety, maybe you take your blueprints and you learn that one of you is kinky. So you're going to then go into a workshop that teaches you a little bit more about kink. And that can be things like impact play, so spanking, or it can be things like mind fuckery. So like how to create more turn on by building your partner's excitement up by texting them 6 hours before sex is even on the table about all the things you're going to do to them later. So when you invest in your education and you invest in your sexuality, it pays back dividends. And that's really where variety can start to play. And it can be simple. It can be buy a new sex toy. It could be invest in a course together. It could be listen to a podcast that teaches you about a new technique. It doesn't have to be complicated. And in fact, I highly recommend keeping it simple at first. And then the last free resource that I can think of that's so powerful for variety is something called the Want, Will, Won't list. And this list is a comprehensive, it's like 14 pages list that's all about giving and receiving sexually. And what you do is you go through this list as the giver and you go through the list as the receiver. And it starts from the most mild of sexual activities and it goes all the way to the most intense. And it gives context because for a lot of people, they just don't know. That's where they get stuck. It's like, I want newness, but I have no clue where to start. So the want, will, won't list gives you context because you're like, oh, neck kisses, got it, all the way to like the most extreme things. And you're like, wow, I don't even know what this word is. I have to Google this. And then what you could do is you take those lists, you fill them out about what you really want, what you're willing to do for your partner, if it was to really please them, and what your hard boundaries are. And you take those lists and you share them. And then you go, what are your wants? What are my wants? And let's make a sex recipe. And let's make something that's really delicious and exciting and has some overlap in it. And if you're not in partnership, do it with your girlfriends. One of my favorite experiences, I actually met my best friend at a party where we all did the want, will, won't list together and then talked about it and talked about what we liked sexually. And it was so fulfilling to have girlfriends that were just talking about sex. So you don't have to be in partnership to do that. And you can even bring it into a new dating experience and be like, here's my portfolio of all the things I like if you want to please me. And you can just hand it to them.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
The thing that you said that is going to stick in my brain forever, because I did not do this, is to treat every new relationship like, oh, they're here, this is the one. I did the total opposite. And it was a real bummer when I did meet the one. And it took about a year for me to relax.
Yeah.
So I just think that's the most beautiful advice. And I don't think I've ever heard it phrased that way.
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite spectrum. Every single person I've dated, I thought they were the one. Very naturally. I was all in.
But that's beautiful.
My friends were like, oh, she's got another soulmate. And it was a joke.
But that's beautiful. I mean, how I just came from a different situation, but I love that so much. I'm so happy you said that. And I'm so excited to do all the blueprints and the checklists.
Yeah.
We have an activity.
The boys are going to be very excited.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. I think, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think just wherever you're at in your journey to find partnership or whether you're in your partnership, what's very clear is that it's just, about communication, which we all know that, but it can feel a little scary. But that's something I continue to work on, but our partners are like so grateful when we just tell them like it is. And they're like relieved most of the time.
Yeah. They want your manual. They want to know how to please you. Let's not keep that a secret.
Like they're going to be pleasantly surprised when you say, hey babe, like I want to talk about this. They're going to go, oh, great.
I'm a sex coach. I teach this for a living, and I am not immune to having to go through the crunchiness and awkwardness of teaching someone how to love me and how to please me better. I just had a recent sexual experience with this man that I'm falling in love with. I am super new into dating him, and I was having a hard time orgasming. And all of this shame came up of like, you teach this for a living. How are you not embodied right now? And the truth was, we were two people learning each other's bodies and learning what each other liked. And I've been with women. I know our anatomy is so different, like from woman to woman, and the codes are not the same. You can't just copy paste. And so the other day I was having a lot of guilt and shame about it. And we had this sexual experience where I'm like, fuck, I know what I need to do. And I need to teach him. And so I literally had him sit there and watch as I pleasured myself, and he watched. And then he tried, and I gave him feedback. And it's like, sometimes that's what it takes. And I had the best orgasm on the other side. And it was so humbling to be like, oh my God, I'm forever my own student when it comes to this work. And it does. It comes down to telling your partner what you like, communicating them, not withholding even when you really want to, and finding the good in every person. Like truly seeing their humanness, seeing that when they're showing up in their shit and they're yelling at you or projecting or doing the things that humans do, it's usually because they're afraid, or they're afraid of losing love, or they're triggered and in overwhelm. And so coming back to love, the first person that can come back to love always wins. And it's just, I'm here to help humans know how to love themselves more and to fall in love with life. And there's so many incredible ways to do that, like being able to use archetypes, learning how to regulate your nervous system, understanding yourself sexually, and the list goes on and on and on. But I'm so happy to be able to share even a part of that on our episode today.
This is like a master class.
I know.
I'm just like,
we've all got homework.
I know. So how, do you want to share anything else about your new relationship, your new dating, anything with that you're excited to share that you're learning? Or
oh gosh, I would say the most embodied lesson I've had lately is there's a couple, but I would say what I'm most present to now is that healthy love feels really grounded and like home. And that is an experience that I'm still learning how to really be within my body, of how many relationships and partnerships I've had that have these like really intense, lustful, fiery beginnings. And that was my nervous system. It was familiar for me because I grew up in a lot of chaos. But what I'm realizing is that the type of love that actually serves me best feels very stable and very grounded. And at first I even questioned him, like, is this person more of like a friend? Because it was so different for me to understand that ease and openness and safety is love, and how that did not register. So that was really powerful. And then the second lesson that I keep learning over and over with him is how to resource myself, and how all of the times in which I've been triggered or caught up in this like beautiful romance, it's been when I've been pouring from an empty cup. And it's so easy to lose yourself in those beginning stages because it's just beautiful and fun, and you want to fucking drink it in and dive in the deep end and just like be in it as much as possible. And I'm not immune to that. And what I've noticed is that all of the times where I'm noticing that I'm projecting on him or finding something wrong in him or feeling resentful, it's because I'm not resourced. So every single time I've pulled back, filled my cup, had a good night's sleep, worked out, journaled, like all the shit. Everyone's like, do all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, Bryn. It's like, well, no, it's because it works.
There's a reason. I know.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I just needed to drink more water and get 8 hours of sleep. And all of a sudden I could show up better. Funny how that works. So yeah, like feeling like there's this really beautiful stability in love. And then also seeing where I am the creator of my own joy and pleasure first. And he's this beautiful fucking cherry and whipped cream on top. And if my Sunday starts looking like shit, it's because it is. And I get to rebuild that and know that our relationship will be better on the other side.
I like that metaphor. I just like everything you say.
The shit Sunday.
The shit Sunday.
Oh, thank you.
Well, this has been just such a enlightening and fun conversation. I can't wait to take a deeper look at more of your offerings. I'm sure our audience is like on the edge of their seats to hear about ways they can work with you, where to find you. So give us all that juicy information.
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is at Bryn Daylor. So my name on Instagram. I just love the women that are in my community. It's my favorite thing in the world to connect with women, to hear their stories. And so definitely find me on Instagram. And then in terms of ways to work with me, I would say the most exciting thing, depending on when this episode airs, I just sold out my first retreat. It sold out in a week. Thank you. I love how much you celebrated. Thank you. That's sweet. That was adorable. So I filled that one, and I sold 2 more spots for a future retreat. It was just so clear women are hungry for this in-person work. I think after COVID and just the lockdowns, and it's like women are ready for in-person. And so I have a retreat at the end of September called the Fully Embodied Woman. And it's where we'll do this work together in person in Austin, Texas, with 7 other women, where you'll go into the archetypes, your desires. We'll go to sexual dance classes. We have boudoir shoots. It's going to be just like such a beautiful, rich experience. And so for women that want to have access to that, I would love to have them reach out in that regard as well.
That sounds fun.
Like, sign up.
It's gonna be dope. I'm really excited.
Well, we're so excited for you. We are about to host our first retreat in 1 month. So that's why we're like going crazy for you, because it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. Because
it's so fun.
Because for years you think that's such a cool thing that other people do.
Totally.
And then you're like, oh, wait.
Like,
wait a second. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so exciting.
I love the idea of women being in your energy. I feel like you two would be so powerful together, and you are powerful together. So I'm so excited to hear more about that.
Well, thank you.
Well, we'll make sure to put your information in the show notes. So everyone go follow Bryn. And we like to ask everyone that comes on the show, because we're goddess hangs, what does being a goddess mean to you?
So I imagine, in the vein of everything I shared today, to me, being a goddess is a woman who leads with her heart, who understands the language of her body. So she's fully fluent in her emotions and the way that they share the wisdom of her soul with her. And she knows her desires, and she leads and creates everything in her life, from what she wants in the bedroom to what she wants in the boardroom, from a place of her full-bodied fuck yes. And that, to me, is what a goddess is.
Snaps, full-bodied fuck yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you so, so much, Bryn. We had so much fun today.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goddess.
Oh my goddess.
Oh my goddess. I don't know what to say other than I'm excited to go just dig into every piece of content she has and take those quizzes and make Craig take the quizzes and do the checklists, and we're going to have some fun around here. We're going to go mildly wild. We're going to make our t-shirts. I just really like saying it. It's got such a ring to it.
Mildly wild.
We're going to get really crazy mildly wild.
Divinely delusional and mildly wild. That's what we're all about. Hokey pokey. What was I going to say? And doesn't her retreat sound amazing? So now goddesses.
Yeah. I'm like, can we like co-host a retreat with her?
I was sort of thinking that.
Let's manifest it.
Reach out. First, we're gonna embody it, and then
we're gonna.
How does it feel to co-host? Look at me sitting up taller already.
How does it feel? Rolling our shoulders.
Oh my gosh,
it feels good.
It feels great.
So before we let y'all go, goddesses, we wanted to remind you of a few things. The first thing is that Quantum Goddess, our incredible program, we're beginning to launch round 2. So make sure you get on the wait list.
It's back, baby!
It's back and better than ever.
Round 1, I'm sure you've been seeing it on our Instagram. I know we've been just bragging about all of our students. This program changed and transformed the lives of the people in it. It was such a profound experience to witness these breakthroughs, to see these businesses flourish, these projects come to life. If you have something in your heart that you've always wanted to bring forward and share with the world, whether it be a business or something artistic, we are here to support you and guide you through it. And you're just gonna love it so much. So please get on this wait list. We have a very limited number of spots, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Yes, we only invite 13 people at a time into this program because Juliet and I are there, high level touch into your projects. We are with you every step of the way. And at the end, we both, each of us and all of your peers, comb through your website, your social media, anything else that's attached to your project. And we give you feedback. And this was the part of the whole program where everyone was like absolutely blown away and where the biggest like literal quantum leaps happened. So whether you already have a business and you're ready for a quantum leap, a relaunch, a level up, or you have maybe not even a fully formed idea, but you know that there is something big that you want to bring into creation, we can meet you wherever you are at in your journey. And we are so excited to see the projects we get to work on next, because we had artists, musicians, we had, tattoos, we had crochet, we had a full spectrum, so many different projects that just, things I never would have worked on in, our own businesses. So it's just so cool to get to get our magical little fairy fingers and different types of things, because it really gets our creative juices flowing, and we're so passionate about it. And we've learned so much on our own entrepreneurial journeys. It's just so special to get to share them. And so much happened in just 3 months. It was bananas. So if that is calling to you, make sure you get on the wait list. There will be an early bird price, and there's limited spots. So
that's the first order of business.
Yes.
The second is in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be on our first retreat ever in Wisconsin, which sold out so fast. And if you're coming, we cannot wait to see you. If you're wishing you were coming, we have spots available for Bali next summer, July 2023. Come join us in Bali. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so organized. We're going to have a guide. We're staying in 4-star, 5-star resorts. We're going on all sorts of beautiful activities. You've heard us talk about it. And we all just get to hang out and have these magical experiences. And we're going to teach workshops that are going to be exclusive to the Bali retreat. So if you see in the next few weeks people getting excited for this trip and you're feeling like, oh, I really have to travel with these girls, come join us in Bali next summer. And you can sign up now.
You can sign up now. You have over a year to plan for it. We're so excited. The trip is confirmed. We're definitely going. We have 8 babes already coming with us. But it doesn't feel real because it's literally, we're doing multiple bucket list things on this trip. And it's going to be so it's going to be crazy. That's all I got. It's going to be fucking crazy. So come join us on this fucking crazy retreat.
We also have a very limited stock of our Intuitive Magic Oracle deck. It's the sweet, nurturing embrace of an oracle deck that we created together because we got to make room on our shelves because the Quantum Goddess holographic oracle deck is on the way.
To you. I was about to say coming to a store near you, and I was like, coming to stores.
Leave it there.
Store, thegoddesshangs.com/store. I don't even know if it's a / store. Don't type that in.
I think it's /shop. But anyways, this deck is divine. Get excited. We're going to have a hot, juicy, holographic summer with this deck. We're very excited.
Are.
And we have a beautiful Patreon community. We're about 80 people strong, which is like, I still pinch myself. It's very exciting. It's the best Patreon community I think I've ever heard about, seen, been a part of. It's just so supportive and wonderful, and you are going to meet so many good people and good friends.
And we want to get to know you better. That's the best part, is that we get to know you. Like, it's so fun. It's so fun to record this and know, like, I have like faces and names who I know I'm talking to. And I know there's so many more out there that like I don't know, but like, I want to connect with you. I want to know you too. It's just so special and so cool to have that familiarity when we're recording. It's just a different energy.
And Sadie and I are very, very active in this Discord. It's not like join the Patreon and meet some other people. You will meet some other people and you're going to fall in love with them. But you will spend a lot of time with us. I'm in there constantly. I mean, I think one time I told Sadie, I was like, should I like back off? Am I just saying too much? She's like, no. I'm obsessed with chatting with you. So join our Patreon. We're going to have so much fun together. And a special shout out to all of our current BFF and Coven member babes.
Yes. I'm launching a really fun series for the summer. It's called Summer of Hot Juicy Magic Masterclass Series. There's going to be one masterclass each month this summer, June, July, and August. And these are going to be like a fucking masterclass. We're probably going to spend 2+ hours together for each call. You can buy all 3 as a bundle, or you can get them individually. Replay is always available forever and ever, so there's no need to come live, but we're gonna make this summer hot as fuck. I was just thinking, like, when summer rolls around, like, I feel so like the energy is just different. I mean, it's literally hot and juicy. I walk with a spring in my step. We're all wearing less clothes. Like, it's a sexy time.
It's my favorite time.
So what if we were to like embrace that sort of like wild energy that's in the air, and we work with it? So the first masterclass in June is called Bold Bitch Energy. We're going to be learning about manifestation, divine delusion. It's going to be all about showing up boldly as yourself and creating the summer and beyond that you really truly want, making this summer hot and juicy as fuck. The second masterclass is called Fuck the Fear. It's all about living courageously and maybe even living a little dangerously.
Oh, I need to take that class.
Dropping the shit that keeps you small, moving forward, even if you have fear. It's all about fucking courage, baby. Fuck the fear, right? And then the final masterclass is Witches Get Riches in August. It's going to be money, mindset, magic. Every single masterclass I'm going to be giving you a high level, like, informative lecture is such a boring word, but I'm going to be teaching you a lot. We're going to be doing spell work every class. We're going to be doing tapping, meditations. We're going to be doing a lot together. So these are no ordinary masterclass. Like, this is going to be in depth. We're going to spend some fucking hot, juicy time together. So I'm so excited. And this is dropping on Monday. So I don't know if I haven't decided when I'm dropping the official enrollment link, but definitely get on my email list so you have first dibs. I'm just very excited to roll this out and hang out with you guys all summer long.
Sadie's the hottest, juiciest, most magical lady I know. You would not want to learn from anybody else, I'll tell you what.
Well, thank you very much. And what about Creatrix You with Juliet Piper?
Oh, you said it right. Thank you. I sounded like Linda from Bob's Burgers. Oh, you said it right. Lately, we've been watching that, and Victor's like, you really are so much like her.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm going to be Linda when I'm a mom.
Yes, big same. So Creatrix You is my ongoing monthly academy for artists and creatives. It's specifically for you, all your creative Creatrix souls. I think when this comes out, we have a class tomorrow on Tuesday. Yes, we do. It's all about outreach magic. I'm going to be teaching this topic that I know how to do this so well that I will not sleep at night because I just know how to do it so well. And I want to teach you how to do it. And I want you to send me all your emails and messages saying, oh my gosh, I followed your outreach magic and this happened and that happened. And we saw it happen in Quantum Goddess. Like, the feedback was incredible. So if you want to start reaching out with your music, your art, get it in galleries, getting gigs, booking more things, private clients, clienteling, let me teach you. You can come to the class live. Just sign up for Creatrix You. It is a super low monthly fee, and you also get access to my VIP vault of videos and meditations. It's a really, really fabulous, every artist should be a member. I think it's like you join the gym, you join Hot Juicy Masterclass, you join Creatrix U, and you're set for the summer.
And you're set. Yeah, Juliet's outreach magic is no joke. It's all of the, I mean, y'all don't know all of the crazy stuff we do, but we work like celebrity parties. We get filmed for stuff. We have all these weird, crazy opportunities that someday we'll be able to tell you about. And it's all thanks to Juliet's outreach magic. So just fucking trust me.
Well, you know what? It's a combo. It's outreach magic, but then Sadie infuses her hot, juicy sex magic.
That's true. I put my finger on that too.
Literally. We work as a team.
We do.
So we're so excited to invite you into our energies collectively, separately. We have it all to support you. So.
Oh, and on June 2nd, my Hot Juicy Magic shop will have new items in it.
Ooh.
So I don't, what's the date now? It'll be one more week, I think, when this drops. But get ready because they're handmade. They're 100% unique things. And there's only so many because I handmade them. So
oh my God, I can't wait.
I'll show you after this. I made one that I think you're going to want. So.
Oh, take my money.
So.
I bought a keychain. I got the stickers. I'm a fan.
She's a fan. So get ready for that. And make sure you follow Bryn at Bryn Daylor on Instagram. Mm-hmm. We are at Goddess Hangs. I am Sadie Olson.
I'm at Juliet.Piper.
Check out our awesome website, goddesshangs.com. Mm-hmm. There is lots of fun new stuff in our shop. We've got mugs. We've got blankets with our faces on it.
It's a really fuzzy throw blankie.
It's actually crazy soft. Yeah.
Victor has been sleeping with it like every time he takes a nap.
Should we put the picture? Will he get mad?
I'll ask him. There might be a photo here.
Maybe. It's like, this is the cover photo for how amazing this blanket is.
Hot, juicy blanket.
This sweet baby passed out, cuddled up.
Aw, he is my sweet baby.
I think that's it.
We did it.
We'll see you next week, Goddess. Bye.